It shows that we are live now.
Great. I need to switch on my camera. Okay.
Awesome. First of all, Dmitry, hello, and thank you so much for joining this call. And I really think that your experience will be valuable for developers, especially for developers who want to start business or startup. And we're going to talk today about your experience making Vexa AI, your project, open source, and what your outcome of it as of now. And yeah, for those who don't know Dmitry, Dmitry is maybe you can present yourself.
Yeah.
Brief.
Uh, Sergey, let's make sure we are actually well set up first.
Yeah, okay,
Oh,
absolutely.
okay. Okay. I can see myself, and yeah, definitely, it's working. Yeah. Okay. Great. Okay, Sergey. Thanks for the opportunity to discuss this the topic that I've yeah discovered myself not that long ago, and even though I've been building on top of open source like for the last 8 years now, and was asking myself sometime this question just for the sake of curiosity of how actually why people are doing this, why people are open sourcing, and now I seem to have an answer to this question.
That's great. So yeah, the main question I want to ask you is, what is your journey with Vexa AI, and how did you come to open source model as a um, rail for your business?
Yeah. Uh, the disclaimer is that Sergey knows pretty well the first phase of development of Vix, which was the meeting note taker, real-time meeting note taker for Google Meet, and that was a normal proprietary startup, which was I tried to build it as by the book, which is like talk to customers, build your MVP, and repeat and then reiterate, and never enough to talk to customers. But I found myself in a weird situation when me being actually a software development data scientist throughout the career, I started to communicate with very different types of client. I didn't have a clear picture of the customer profile, and as a result, I had extremely wide variety of different user profiles, and I just got lost into it, and because of that, like marketing became something that you don't really know where to go and how to actually communicate with those people. Like I got, in fact, the majority of users with that proprietary product, Vix, I had from Brazil, and even though I live in Portugal for the last few years, I don't speak Portuguese and don't speak Brazilian Portuguese as well. So yeah, the answer to this question is that I've realized that I wanted to talk to the people from the audience I actually belong to, and open source was the answer to this question because I took a step back from the market that was in the active stage of development, and there are a lot of new products appear every day, a enormous amount of different use cases.
Yeah, and I remember back when you started Vexa, it was already quite few strong competitors, or let's say the players on the market, right? So um, for you, switching to open source was a way to probably fight them on already defined territory and zones.
Uh, Yeah, but actually, since Vexa started as a proprietary product, the amount of competitors or risen like tenfolds, uh, maybe. And I realized that I'm building another product like this, which was like a product which is like made of glass, let's say. Made of glass might be beautiful, but it's very static. And adding an extra feature is something you need to guess on whether they're gonna use it or not. And like open source is when you know, like for sure what you're gonna ask, because they basically do it with you.
Yeah. So you have feedback from community who works on the same project, right?
Yeah, the thing is that like you don't like with the B2C product or B2B product with this beautiful proprietary product. You've got users which are very shallow. They whether use or don't use, and if you ask them why you're not using, what's the problem you're having, they don't have a good answer because they really don't know. They can make up their answers. They whether just vote for it or against, and you don't know how to interpret this information well. So the amount of information that's coming from the market is very limited in comparison with the open source.
Yeah, and it remind me a book, The Mom Test, right? So ask your mom about your product in a way that she's not going to lie to you. And the author really nicely describes this. How to say it? Well, the fact that people will, yeah, tell you a lot, but will not tell you anything at the same time. So
Yeah, I see it like a mom test as a book on how to uh, you know intelligence like uh, yeah uh, I mean it's like an investigation in fact, so you're investigating the user behavior with these questions, but the problem is that it's you are still left with a very little amount of real information
yeah,
even in this way. uh, but in open source your users are like co-developing with you, even if they just launch your code and get back with issues, so it didn't work the way as expected. It's a very shallow level, but you got much more involvement with different people this way. And no, it's obviously not the only benefit here. You got a deeper feedback from people, but you have a wider feedback as well. Because when you build an open source with a permissive license like MIT or Apache 2, which Vex belongs to, uh, it's much easier to get traction, and you can be 10 times simpler than these beautiful uh, products and get bigger traction just because people uh, yeah, are because you're building the code belong to everyone.
yeah. Well, I can relate to this. Let's say my experience, and yeah, as you mentioned, I've been part of the Vexa for some time. But when you turn it open source, I wasn't already a part of the of this transition, right? And you asked me to make a video about how to start using Vexa. And it was, well, first of all, it was surprisingly easy. Like I expected really long journey before I start making something. Then turns out it took like literally less than 5 minutes. Apologize. And most of this time was spent on like installing dependencies and everything. And when I faced some issue, just because it's open source, it was so easy and natural just to come back to you and say, hey, like this is the problem, but I understand the challenge. And then you fix the issue. I don't remember what it was, but it was some small issue with in documentation or something like that. But the feeling of that This is not software that somebody built to make a profit on me immediately, but rather than, it's shared with me and I have option to use it or not to use it. It immediately changed the perspective on any issue that I faced, right? And also it brings a lot of, let's say, this feeling that hard to describe and hard to communicate to other people, but it's involvement, because now I tried something that is like open source, built for everybody, and now I'm part of this, a little part of it, right? So it immediately brings this, like, at least my experience, it immediately brings brain in different mode, like, oh, how can I utilize it, how can I build something on top of it, just because it actually kind of belonged to me as a user, even though it's somebody built it
Yeah,
already.
so the fact is that you got traction easily because you approach big Twitter X profiles, YouTube profiles, and just shared with them to find out that like next minute they already reshared this, and you got a bunch of stars on your GitHub. And the thing is that people tend to think and ask themselves, what's the reason? Why on earth for in the first place open sourcing and building under a permissive license that belongs to everyone? And actually, so how do you actually make money with this?
Well, yeah, let's. This is very important topic. But before we come to this topic, just because we on community and people, what is your community right now? Well, what kind of people and what help do they do?
So how I gained this community will explain this. So I was spreading the word about open source, and some other amazing people been just sharing about it. And who I see are uh, a few deep tech engineers that are interested in this particular real time aspect or machine learning about uh, the speech to text aspect of it. But like 90% are those who are excited about the opportunity to build conversational AI with a few lines of code, which is like you abstract it away from this bot management and transcription, which is a deep tech, and you just literally send the bot with one API call and literally get real-time transcript, updated transcript with another API call. And that was the request from those guys. And who are them? They are indie hackers. They are hackathon participants. They are studios. Most of these guys, young. I'd say a lot of them are young developers who want to build something, who want to build a product. The product builders. A few like automation enthusiasts, those who are playing around with NA10, like this automations, like you basically got for granted you've got an access to a very rich data, which is the conversations, which are very welcomed by now in like this AI ready platforms like HubSpot, Salesforce, and increasingly all of them increasingly are becoming AI ready, so that as soon as you push them this meeting transcription, they will uh, actually extract knowledge and populate your CRM, CRM themselves, for example.
Well, that sounds really promising, and I bet the community, like people, are very active who participate in this kind of community and software. So yeah, let's get to the really interesting stuff. Where is the money in open source? Like how it even possible to make money on something that no longer belong to you?
Yeah, it's the best question about it, and uh, yeah, it's not an invention. We all know that there are like the most used products in software is open source, right? Even Python is open source and Postgres is open source. And tell me that no one is actually making money on Postgres. It's not the case. There are a few really big companies which are the core maintainers, and really big companies that are uh, like in the center of the community making money about it. But it's not. It's a kind of indirect answer to this question, right? Okay, so what are the actual commercial models that are available in the market? Like the one which Wexa is employs is that this stack, which is Wexa open source, is it requires compute. It's like, say, simply in simple words, if Windows and the computer, Windows code is not an instance of Windows running on your computer. You need this computer, you need to set up this stuff, and you need time for that, you need expertise for that, for this. And also you got a lot of risks if you are building servers which must be reliable. It must be uptime 99.99%, right? Because like if your end user will not find bot in the meeting or will not find transcription, there will be basically it might be a disaster. Uh, so uh, so you can definitely install and deploy Vexa on like Google Cloud Platform or elsewhere, and but you'll be responsible for this, and you'll need time. And we we encourage our community doing this because it brings so much value to the project.
Mhm.
It's so much feedback and contribution. It makes it a greater project. But the simple way to start is just to grab an API key and start building the actual product which makes difference, right? The pipeline that you're delivering to the end user, because Vex API is not something you deliver to the end user. So you need to build something on top. And since you are abstracted from this infrastructure, you're abstracted from Vexa, from bots and transcription, and you are abstracted from large language models, which are like piece of like a piece of art, state of the art thing, much bigger than Vex, right? But you're still using it the same way as a simple API endpoint. So you stack these things together, and you have a completely new user flow delivered to your end user, to your niche domain expertise, and then is when the magic happens.
Yeah, but how it exactly will bring money to you as a
Yeah,
founder of Exa?
Yeah, I might not answer the question directly. So I manage I host the API myself,
Mhm.
and it's running on my compute, and you get it with a simple API key, and to get it working. And since now it's in beta, you can grab this API key to play around with this playground for free. But it's a commercial product. It's a commercial product. So the thing is that like the no-brainer offer here is that you can always start using the hosted API like white gloves experience and continue. But you know that at any point in time you are free to self-host the entire thing.
Mhm.
And this brings this no-brainer situation when you just know that you will not have to re-implement anything.
Yeah.
No new integrations. You just substitute something that you used as a hosted thing provided by the core team of Vex as a commercial product. You substitute it with your own deployment, but you will have to manage this deployment. And it's not for free anyways. Managing this deployment requires expertise, and it's got some direct costs. So we'll be gaining expertise in managing this hosted API to deliver best value for money, competing with our own soft hosting solution.
Mhm.
Yeah, so that's the offer, and that's the like business logic behind this.
I see. Well, in my head, it was the other way around. Actually, like I thought that people can play with it and then later want to make it hosted and managed by somebody else. But after they kind of played with it, and what you're saying, if I understand correctly, that for companies it might be the opposite. So they want to have it managed, but they want to be to feel safe about they don't marry one company to the rest of own company life, and now have dependency that they will not be able to get from.
Yeah, it's for the companies, for the enterprise, for their point of view. Like you basically just can't approach them. As someone told me, one is CEO of a similar Series A company told me, is that they will not even pick up your call if you are not open source. Just they don't have this option. You must be open source, and we'll screen the entirety of your dependencies to make sure it's all permissive license. So uh, if you want to get into enterprise, so it's like you have to be open source, and like because like it's all compliant and it's all physically private because it's all running in the box. It's
Mhm.
it's a it's a fully self-sufficient solution which you run on your like infrastructure, your own infrastructure, and that's what enterprises will do. But enterprises, from the other hand, they will be using the different type of services from Vexa, because still Vexa will probably be the best option, like the number one option for asking for service to manage this deployment in on-premise deployments, right?
Mhm. And your goal is big enterprise companies.
Uh, open source give you this, amazing like privilege to stay aside of like very specific niche, because like they will drive you. The traction that this open source products gives you drives product development and everything else. If like for now I see like these indie hackers and startups, uh, hackathons, hackathon participants are the way to spread like network effect, to spread the word about Vexa. But like obviously like enterprises is one of the main the target markets for that, and I think it's like just will come as a side effect.
Mhm. I see. Thank you. Well, I think there's a certain niche. If you want to build your software as open source, let's say business or in open source sphere, then I think you need to carefully consider who can be the client, ultimate client who will pay for it later, right? So not every project can become a business using open source. Some of them probably will just stay open source project, right,
Yeah,
in internet.
exactly.
Yeah, and with this, I have really well. I have two last questions probably. One is how hard it was to pull the lever on this, on to open source your work, because there is no coming back, basically, right? Once you upload it into internet, once you said, and especially you use some permissive license, that's it. There is no coming back. And second is what your what your outcome so far in terms of clients, business. What metrics do you have? Money earned. So what's your status right now?
Yeah. So actually, you have to suffer for some time being a normal startup founder to understand how it's actually. It's not. In fact, no one really cares, gives anything about what you are actually doing.
Yeah.
If for some reason it doesn't, just they didn't like, they feel like they will not push this button, they will not do it, and you will not find any reason why they didn't do this. And so you start to understand. I spent 1.5 years building projects, startup by the book, to realize that actual traction is everything. Traction is everything. So the actual community, uh, the active community, people that are using something, uh, and are engaged into something and willing to spend hours on something that you've built in order to make it better or to use it, is something that is just, it's a prerequisite. It's a prerequisite for startup building, not vice versa. And the next question is how to actually make money with it, how to actually sell it. And it's a good question because, as you said, not every open source project makes money. Why is that? If you just can people install it, so there is no an, like intrinsic business model about it, because there are a lot of beautiful open source which is just people install, like people install pandas or whatever, who are the Python folks are here. I have no idea how they are making money. Probably they do. Probably I'm just not aware of the business model. But my business model is straightforward. You've got this funnel, sales funnel, which is coming the growing community, and at the end, you know that they will be using it, whether hosted or self-hosted. And self-hosted is so much good value for money, so you'll almost certainly start with it, and hopefully will continue using it. And if you don't, I would have to deal with it and change my pricing or change the service, so it will actually compete with the self-hosted solution. So you intrinsically can be sure that I will have to compete with myself in the way that I'll be able to make money off it. And so it's a more compelling offer than the self-hosting itself,
Hmm.
potentially.
I got it. And so, what's the difference between you said you were developing, and like it's a little bit funny to hear developing startup by the book, because once it's in the book, it's not kind of startup anymore, right? Because it's like startup is something that is done against the
One,
recipe, against the book.
only once, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, once you have this unique way and everybody starts walking it, it's not unique anymore. So you um yeah, it's just interesting to hear. But
Yeah,
yeah.
I think it's like the nature is a good analogy here. If I'm a cat and I catch a mouse, cut the mouse. This mouse already is my mouth, not but I still can't explain how I did it. But the thing is that this ecosystem is constantly changing.
Yeah.
But the books are living like long lives, and still it's absolutely worth going by the book and start by the book. But then you will have to niche, you have to find your individual path, your way of doing this. Otherwise, you'll almost certainly fail. But you can skip it. Still, you can skip it probably,
Yeah.
or maybe you can probably open source from day one.
And you will fail, and you must fail, I believe. And like, yeah, everything changing so much that it go in circles sometimes. So even like broken clock shows right time twice a day, right? So yeah, the books, definitely some useful information can be found in the book, and there is always like the hard truth, the solid base, like iterate fast, so basically Scrum, Agile, Hadi cycle, right? So this is not, it probably will not change the importance of short iteration, short go to market time, and all that stuff that in the book actually. So yeah, it's
Yeah,
still.
no one will teach you how to win Olympic games, but a lot of people will be able to teach you on how to lift weights, right?
Yeah.
And you can skip it. You cannot skip it because, uh, firstly, you can't emphasize enough the importance of talking to users.
Yeah, in the right way, not blindly, not just start and implement
in,
whatever they say.
in the right way. But there are a few hacks to that. Like open sourcing doesn't request you to be that much, yeah,
Hmm.
to be a good investigator. No, you don't have to, because yeah, they know what they want exactly, and that's a big deal.
Yeah, it sounds like it. It sounds like it. So yeah, the question would be again, what changed after you switched to open source? What changed, like in terms of how much more money you making now, or any other metrics that important to you?
Yeah. So we've built it to open source, like in yeah, like the first version of Vexa open source appeared in April,
Hmm.
10th of April, as far as I remember. So that was already something that is pretty similar to what we got now. That it's a real-time transcription from Google Meet with bots. And the difference was that, like, next day I shared this with someone on X, and they posted like next minutes after, and like I got like literally next day I got something like 300, 400 stars in one day.
Wow.
And yeah, so I that was like a sign. It was a clear market sign that it's yeah, people like, yeah, enthusiastic about it. They like the idea. And yeah, and I got a lot of people coming into collaboration, into using these things to build their, I know, capstone projects in universities. And it was so it's fun, and people are building products with it. Yeah, so I repeated this cycle a few times since then, basically.
How many stars do you have today on your repository?
It's like 1,100 stars, something like this. And after 1K, like round numbers matter. Like virtual capital started to yeah, to reach out. And yeah, because it's attraction, you just can't hide. And the first one to appear was like GitHub or Venture Studio. Like it's their internal like GitHub fund. Yeah, so
They reach out to you?
yes, they reached out. And a lot of other folks from Silicon Valley and European funds, all after 1K. So
Wow. Okay, it's interesting. To be honest, I never put stars on GitHub. I probably saw it, but never kind of care enough. But after you told and asked to put a star there, which I did, of course, now I'm like placing stars to projects that I really like. And yeah, please, guys, if you see a GitHub project, just give a star, because turned out it's really valuable to the person who shares his work with the world, and this gives, I believe, very positive feedback.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. It's a very transparent thing, and a lot of people are actually watching this. A lot of people, and it's a free traction, and you are free from YC pitch.
Yeah.
For many founders, it's like a full-time job sometimes to yeah to arrange with the funding, and you can almost entirely skip it. And like surprisingly, open source projects, especially those which are the infrastructure for development, you've got a class of venture capital that is looking specifically at this niche,
Hmm.
nothing else. And they are even given valuations that some people assess like 40% higher valuation for the open source infrastructure project rather than the mid market.
Well, that's very interesting to hear, especially because usually developers and technical people are not very good with presentation, with pitching, with slides and decks and all that stuff. So, like, yeah, if you know the code, if you find a really nice problem to solve, and you can just skip the line and just basically skip the um, least pleasant part, which is talk to people and try to convince them to even look at your project. I think this is super important.
Yeah, but
And
just because your project is a black box to everyone, to your users, to your potential investors, and you have to somehow to describe what's inside the box. You don't have to do it at all. And guys, if you are bad at talking to customers, bad at talking to investors, you but you are good at if you love building stuff, that consider just open sourcing as the default mode of delivering things to the world. Just whatever you build, just if you open source it, you got much bigger chance yes it'll bring value to the world and to yourself.
mhm. And probably like two last question is, what your plan now? What's your vision for the next, like year, and what your next steps? And second, what would you say to other developers who want to start a startup or business? What would be your advice, what to look at and how to start with
Yeah,
this?
there are two different questions. First,
Yeah.
yeah, is that my plans, my current plans. Okay, so like open source requires you to be to build a clean code or at least clean modules. So now we have this core, Vexa core, which is doing one thing, simply sending bot you to your meeting and returning you transcript. We'll have to add Microsoft Teams, which is not there yet, Zoom, and whatever next platforms that the people are requesting. And they are now requesting, everyone is requesting Microsoft Teams. They want, before they were requesting speaker identification, which was delivered. So I know exactly what to build next because everybody is asking for the same thing next, which is a good part of open sourcing. Yeah, so building the core and the most like the value is in the like in the projects that are built on top of it. And uh, I'm building the community of those who are building on top of Vexa and on top of other APIs. most of all like large language models like OpenAI and Anthropic, all these APIs. So to stack these things together to deliver something that people want, speaking with the language of a virtual of startup and venture capital, building what people want is something that will be delivered by the community and hopefully open source it as well, because I'm also building this use cases repositories which are using Vexa and open source it, and you can go clone it and start not from scratch, starting from a semi-ready product which is now delivering nice clean real-time transcripts on your call. And so we've got the UI open sourced, and some other folks also delivered clients for Vexa. Yeah, so building ecosystem around it, um, and this will turn into products, and they will hopefully some of them will use the hosted API, which is a commercial product, and someone built their internal products for their companies inside and would request for some advisory. So yeah, that's the plan. And yeah, now I'm actually I have a lot of like I feel pleasure about communicating now talking to like venture capital folks now, and I think the plan is that I will rise this year, next round.
Fingers crossed, and I hope it will happen. And now, yeah, so what would be your advice to other, specifically developers who want to start business? Because I myself also a very technical person, and I find it really hard to switch the brain mode into like, okay, you need to actually make money, you need to actually go and do something not what you like, because this is what most developers are doing, what they like in the code, in like frameworks, new libraries, whatever it is. But we have a tendency to stay in very, very comfortable waters of technology, right? And it is super hard for developers to switch the brain in the mode that now you need to do actual business, not what you like, maybe sometimes against your wishes. So what would be your advice for developers, especially developers, but yeah, um, how to get into it?
Yeah, so actually that's the hack. That's a hack about open source. Just build what you like, build what you're excited about, but don't build it in a private repository. Make it public and share it with people taking any chance to share about it on your social media. Ask bigger profiles to share about it. Just dedicate some time to share, just to spread the word about it, and this way you'll get the valuable feedback, which will make you excited about building what they want and building together with them. So they will guide you, and they will, yeah. So they will steer the development of your open source. Just build what makes you excited about, and share, uh, and share, and that's it. Um,
All right. Well, you kind of convinced me in general, and you, let's say, inspired me. I have this little project of mine, which is definitely not as hot as AI solution for transcribing calls in real time. But yeah, I just built it a few years ago, and I didn't have time to develop it, and I keep it private. And now I think that there is no reason for it. And even though it will definitely not get like 1,000 stars, because it's very, let's say, more niche product, but there is definitely no point to keep it private, and there is more chances to have some movement, some progress if I just let other people to help me to do it.
Yeah, I've got some, as I know for now, like great, incredible projects I've built entirely in stealth mode, and it's still somewhere in the private repository. But at the time I was building it, it was actually way ahead of time, and it would be. I'm pretty sure it's at least as valuable, would be as valuable as Vexor. But I didn't have that perspective, and uh, actually you don't know where it will go. Like if there's no point to keep it private, just make it public, and you'll maybe you'll get inspired by people who will just give you some, like they will start tell you all the same thing, like they are collectively will you will hear like same things. They'll tell you, you need, we want you to build this and that. you've you've built something great, it's helpful, but can you make it like this? And yeah,
Yeah.
and this way, like they will just not let it die.
No, it sounds about right. And also, I think the thing to consider right now is that products are built much faster than it was like 10, 20 years ago, right? So the product itself has had like tremendous value decades ago when it was hard to build, very expensive. So if you build something and you keep it to yourself, so the product itself is the value. Today, products are built extremely fast.
Mm, yeah, it's like buying a bottle of milk and keep it in the fridge and expecting it to get better. Like yeah, code is like it's got diminishing value like every day, because the amount of code that's bring to this world is rising exponentially now, and the quality of this code is also growing at the same time. It's a lot of rubbish, but there's a lot of in general, like uh, the function
Yeah.
is that you've got more like delivered things in the world.
Yeah, even without vibe coding and Copilot, which we will talk next time, but even without it, like just the cycle of production of the software product is much shorter, right? All the new tools, new libraries, components, including open source. So I think the open source is the way to show your expertise to the world, right? So be noticed much better than, like, yeah, as you told before, it's your CV basically, right? It's your presentation. So people who saw your repository already know what they will see. So yeah, I think this is really good way to show your value, like expose it, right? Because keeping code private, you actually also keeping your value private, which right now today in the market, probably one of the biggest mistakes that developer can do is just not to tell anyone about what he can do. And open source is definitely a way to tell it and to let other people help you to spread it to other people, right? Because nobody will spread information about you as a private person, as a specialist, because they're not doing anything for anyone, just for you. And open source actually flip the narrative, change the game completely. So yeah, thank you so much for this call. And guys, if you, and I assume like mostly developers who probably watch it, if you have any expertise, any experience with Teams, with Zoom, so please take a look at Vexa. Maybe you can be part of this story before it get funded from some venture capital, and you can get your name as well in the list of participants and contributors.
Mm, yeah, and give it a star and self-host it. You can run it on your computer with the CPU mode. You can run it on a cluster of virtual machines in the cloud. You can do both, and you can just skip all this and grab the API call, and in 5 minutes experience on how to send the bot the Google Meet conversation and get real-time transcripts. You can all do this on Vix AI. And I saw the white coding. It's a hot topic and misinterpretation about. We should probably change the term for it, and I would call something differently, and we can definitely discuss it next time.
Yeah, let's do it, because Dmitry is the only person I know who consistently deliver the code, just ship the product using or relying on copilots, on virtual assistant, let's say. And I think this is what you need to hear, because I know a lot of people who tried it. Like, I tried it myself. I didn't have this big success with it. It did not really improve my performance. But Dmitry is, again, the only person I know personally who consistently delivers the product using copilots. And I think his expertise, his experience is really, really what people need to hear.
Yeah, announcement. It was
Yes, yeah. So
like,
let's do it somewhere next week. Well, thank you so much. It been really, it was much longer than we originally expected, but I think the topic is really, we just scratched the surface of the topic, and we didn't talk about the licenses, and I think this is also some topics there to discuss deeper. So yeah, guys, please ask your questions about the code. Give star to GitHub repository of Vexa AI, really well deserved. And what I learned today is that it really gives good feedback to the maker. So please, next time you see any project on GitHub you like, including Vexa, please give it a star. I'm starting to do it myself. Well, amazing. Thank you so much, Dmitry, and then talk to you next time.
thanks, Sergey. Great conversation.